Hello and welcome to 7 Dangerous Haunted Places. Wilson Hall, room 428. Our first location is located on the grounds of Ohio State University in Athens, Ohio. What makes this location so unique is the fact that Wilson Hall is a dormitory, but room 428 is currently sealed from being occupied. Many legends state that the building was built on top of a Native American burial ground, but in 1980, rumor became fact when it was discovered to actually be built on a cemetery for Athens mental institution. As it is reported, students frequently saw objects floating about by themselves, and even going as far as crashing violently against the walls. Other residents stated the doors would open and close by themselves, and some stated that demonic faces would appear ingrained in the wood. Every time the door was replaced, the face would return. One of the first stories tell that in the 1970s, a man died of mysterious causes while staying in a room, and from that day forward, people would experience paranormal occurrences. At a later point, a woman staying in the room tried to practice astral projection, which is a practice attempting to separate the spirit from the body. After this, she committed suicide, with some stating a spirit forced her to do so. After this incident, the university sealed the doors for good, claiming it was uninhabitable. Highgate Cemetery. Found in London, England, this cemetery houses over 170,000 resting bodies, as well as some famous names such as Karl Marx and Douglas Adams. What is more famous is the many spirits that roam the greens. One of the most famous residents is a Highgate vampire. This being stands over 7 feet tall, wears a long black coat and top hat, and is reported to have hypnotic, piercing eyes. Reports of his presence have been around since the 1960s. Some people have reported seeing a set of glowing red eyes staring at them through the gate's bars, as well as a nun floating over graves. Another famous specter is that of a gray-haired woman who races around a cemetery, supposedly looking for the children she murdered. As a bit of an odd tie-in, one businessman reported that a creature that resembled Spring Hill Jack jumped over the fence in front of him, almost hitting the man. Greyfriars Kirkyard. In Edinburgh, Scotland, we find another cemetery with spirit residents who refuse to rest. In this case, the spirit is known as the Mackenzie Poltergeist, which is thought to be of George Mackenzie. Before he died, George was known as Bloody Mackenzie for his persecution of Presbyterians, which entailed unethical treatment of prisoners. Reports of this specter were around for many years, but it seems an event in 1998 stirred everything up. A homeless man broke into Mackenzie's mausoleum, and after this time the ghost became particularly violent. What is frequently experienced is attacks around the building known as the Black Mausoleum. Since 1998, over 400 people have reported hot and cold spots, scratches and bruises, and even people being knocked unconscious. Apparently 2 exorcisms have been attempted, but none of them did the trick. It should be noted that one of the exorcists died of a heart attack a week later. AOKIGAHARA, Mount Fuji. This is probably the most famous location on this list, especially with a movie vaguely being about it being released recently. This area, known as Suicide Forest, also translated to mean Sea of Trees in Japan, has a sinister, grisly history that continues to this day. As it is named, this area is known as a place where at least 100 citizens every year go to end their life. Due to how dense the forest is, many bodies remain hidden for years, if not lost for good. An odd occurrence is the fact that in this area, magnetic-rich iron soil interferes with cell phones, GPS, and compasses, making calls for help almost impossible. Many people report seeing the spirits of those who passed walking along the trails. The lore of the area tells of vicious spirits known as the Ure, who torment visitors and lure them off the path to their death. This ideology leads many to wonder if people enter the forest planning to commit suicide, or if the vengeful spirits provoke them into ending their life. BHANGARH Fort. This building is located in India, and it was built in the early 1600s by King Sahai Madho Singh in order to protect a small city. According to one legend, N.K. Sinha was a wizard who fell in love with the princess of BHANGARH. Sinha attempted to seduce the princess with a love potion he brewed, but she saw through this plot and threw the potion on a boulder. As fate would have it, the boulder dislodged and crushed the wizard, But before he died, he cursed the fort, claiming it would be destroyed and everyone around it would die. Along with this, it is stated that no one would ever be able to live around this area for eternity. True to the curse, the fort was invaded by the Mughal Empire, and everyone inside and within the town were killed. Since this time, people have reported seeing multiple ghosts wandering the halls of the fort, as well as the yards. This site is closed during the night to protect visitors from the spirits, since at various times people didn't heed their warning and were found mysteriously dead the next morning. The Sallie House. In Atchison, Kansas, this house is home to a spirit who seemed to be viciously attacked to its male owner named Tony Pickman. The house gets its name from one of the two ghosts who reside there, one of which being a young girl named Sally, who is seen as a prankster. The other spirit is said to be that of a 30-year-old woman who had fallen in love with Tony and attempted to drive him and his wife apart. Tony seemed to be the primary target of both spirits, where he would see Sally and reported feeling the girl dragging him from bed while he slept, only to wake up with burn marks on his wrists. On many occasions, Tony would feel a cold feeling wash over him, and later noticed he had multiple scratches on his body. After almost 2 years of living in the home, the couple moved out after an event where Tony was pushed so hard he almost fell over a balcony onto the floor below. Monte Cristo Homestead. This home, located in New South Wales, Australia, while it looks beautiful from the outside, harbors many dark occurrences. This house was built in 1885 by Christopher William Crawley, and he lived there until his death in 1910. His wife stayed until her death in 1933, where it is reported that she only left the property on 2 separate occasions. The house is now known as the most haunted house in Australia, and it gets its name honestly. After the Crawleys' death, the Ryans purchased the house in 1963, where they took to restoring the dilapidated property. Before the Ryans acquired the land, a caretaker by the name of Jack Simpson was found shot to death by a youth who claimed he was influenced to do it by watching the movie Psycho. Apparently, more strange things happened while the Crawleys owned the land, which included a pregnant maid being pushed by a malevolent force to her death down the stairs. One report states that a nanny holding a baby had the child ripped from her arms by an invisible force and dropped the baby to her death over a railing. The Ryans state that in 1963 they returned to the home at night and found it completely illuminated, even though no electricity was installed in the house at the time. In 1990, their son also reported seeing this phenomena while his parents were at a ball. When the family moved into the house, their pets went crazy, and their cat actually ran away immediately and was never seen again. The caged chickens on the property were found strangled, and even their pet parrot was found dead of the same issue. The Ryan children claimed of seeing a man looking into their bedroom window, even though there wasn't any access to the window from the outside. There were reported sightings of both Crawleys roaming about the property. With so many deaths by spirits, as well as people acting violent, it should be no wonder why this place is considered dangerous. With that, be safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.